Here we go. We live. I'm gonna do this right at the top. I think it was last. Oh, and then that ding. It was like it was meant to be.
That was perfect.
I think it was 2 weeks ago. I had just like Coors Light in a bottle, and so I tried to open that by the microphone, and just popping a bottle doesn't. It wasn't, you know, it's not. It wasn't like a chink. Like when you pop it off, it was just a twist off.
Oh yeah, it's not the same as a can. The can you can get the
there's no satisfaction. There's no. So we got the with the Busch Light here. Ben Gregory in the house. Is this the second time we've tried to do an episode together, or is this the third time?
I think maybe second. I don't know. It could be 3.
It might be 2.5.
Yeah, it's probably 2.5.
Probably 2.5. It's good to see you, man. I feel like every time I see you, we're in passing, and I'm like, oh man, there you go. Like I gotta catch up with that guy. And so this is a good way. Now I get to like pin you down. Not that you could just walk out of here and I'd be like, shit, there he goes again. But man, I'm excited to get a chance to hang out with you, have a drink. You got some whiskey going over there, a little bit, a smidge classier than my Busch Light.
Just a little bit,
a touch. But I'm excited to hang out, see what's going on in your business, talk some shit, talk some shop, see what happens, and see where we go with this thing. How the hell you been, man?
Been good, busy.
It is that time of year,
which is good for November in Kentucky.
Hell yeah! I saw you were like heading up to do something in Cleveland the other day.
Yeah, we're headed up there Monday to do a hotel.
Okay, that's a haul. What, 6 hours, 7 hours?
It's about 4 hours from the shop.
Oh, it's not bad.
It's not too bad. No,
I guess it depends on traffic. Always depends on traffic.
Well,
and deer. You're going through a lot of deer country,
especially this time of year that they're getting close to the rut. You gotta really keep your eyes peeled.
You do. That or you just run one over and then you quick jump out, pressure wash it off the road, keep on.
Yeah. If I see one big enough, I swerve to hit it. Probably.
Yeah, it just double up, throw it in the back. You got back straps for the crew. Everybody's happy.
That's right.
I'm game. Last week I was in Illinois, and I talked about this on my radio show earlier. I started a new bookkeeping business, and I made the mistake of like I had a scaled bookkeeping company, and if I left, work got done when I was gone. But now I started a new bookkeeping business. Oh, hashtag brought to you by Best Damn Bookkeeping. I have a logo somewhere in here. One of these things. Check out the live thing. Here you go. It's over here. But I was like gone for a week, and I was like, oh shit, like that's right. I have one employee, and I have month end, and I got a lot of stuff to do. So luckily, I was able to bag a couple deer, fill some tags, get the freezer full, and get some work done.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I didn't even have to hit one with the truck. Not that I couldn't have. There was one nice buck where we were just like, maybe we just we'll. I mean, it wasn't my truck, so I was like, let's hit the son of a bitch.
I think I seen the deer. I seen one of them you got. Wasn't that big, really?
No, it wasn't. It honestly. So here's and I was trying to. We did my buddy Ben Smith and I did a podcast last week, and we were like 3/4 2 sheets to the wind. I mean, we were like pretty. It was Friday night. It was our last night. We're like, let's do a podcast. We're like toast. It was hilarious. It was hilarious to us. I don't know if it'd be hilarious to anybody else. But I was trying to like relay some stuff back to business lessons. And the first, I mean, like this happens in business. I mean, like the first day we were there, which was a bonus day, we went down kind of a day early. In the first hour of the first morning, I had a monster buck come by me 10 yards. I threw an arrow in him. He deflected it with his antlers because I took a stupid ass shot. And then I took 2 more shots. The second arrow, he was 10 yards broadside. The second arrow, my release failed. And the arrow just like blew off my bow. And like just lost it and came up short. Didn't even make it 10 yards. Just like bloop. Like, so the first shot was a terrible decision. I shouldn't have taken that shot. He probably would have given me a better look. I just like saw an opening and I was like, no, I gotta shoot him.
And then you had him broadside at 10 yards and your release messed up.
Yeah, which is my fault because I know, like, I shot league with this release a couple years ago. I've had this release for a long time. It's wearing down. Twice I punched myself in the face when this happened. because it would fail like halfway on a pullback. And so I've learned like
Oh,
I got to pinch it when I put it on the D loop. But
yeah.
if it fails, your hand comes back and just smacks you in the face. And you just never feel so stupid as when it feels like your nose is 10 sizes larger because you just punch your own self in the face. So I did that. I did that with a monster buck broadside at 10 yards. And then I missed him. He stopped at like 35 yards, and I tried to thread a needle and I got deflected. And so
Yeah.
he went away with he carried a little jewelry in his shoulder. But he was still chasing the doe the last time I saw him.
So you caught a monster. Was it like how big was it?
I bet it was an 8-pointer, but I bet he was 140 to 150.
So I had a good spread, man.
He would have been a really nice 8-pointer. I shot a 10-pointer in that same exact tree last year on the last day that scored like 152, and it had a broken G3. I think it would have been 155, 156.
Yeah.
So there's bucks there that are 150 to 180. Like we had a few on camera.
Yeah.
The one I shot. So my business lesson on the first one was like, hey, like sometimes good shit happens. You just got to take it. But don't get too excited, right? It's like holiday lights. Some guys get too excited about holiday lights and they shit the bed. That was me the first hour. Totally shit the bed, made bad decision and bad, like I wish it would have been on film. It would have been so comedic if you just if you put the right background music. But then so that was like Saturday morning, and then Wednesday evening, I wasn't even supposed to be going out. I got done with a coaching call early and I jumped out because a cold front was coming in. And it was like last light. I rattled, I did some calling, and a buck just charged in, and I was just like, he's big. I see some horns. I'm letting her rip. It's just fun. It was about the joy of the moment.
Oh yeah, especially if he came in after the rattle.
Oh yeah,
if that happens, they're usually big.
Yeah, I snort wheezed a couple times. Like he was coming in to kick some ass, and so I was just like, he's big enough. Like with his behavior, big enough for me. So I let him have it. I think he was a 3.5-year-old just based on body size. Not a huge rack for 3.5-year-old, but no regrets because in hindsight, I really needed to get some work done. So I had Thursday and Friday to actually get some shit done. All right, enough of me talking. We got this Rob, you totally changed your name. Oh no, now you're the enabler extraordinaire. Look at that. But you
I think it was going to be like that teeny tiny on there. It's like, oh, would you like to give yourself a title?
Yeah, it's super tiny on there. It was a feature I added that you can do that. Why is Rob in quotes though? Like you don't need to quote your name. Your name is Rob. I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen that. I was trying to think of something really cool to put on there.
Ben.
Those are those funny random things in college. We could put like whatever. When we would get our sports tickets, you put like your title. So there was Mr., Mrs., Miss. And then you could go through everything for every possible military everything. And so like I was like Captain Ultimate Commander of the Northern Forces, Rob Anderson. And like most people wouldn't notice it, but you'd go to like will call to get the tickets and they're like Naval Commander what? You're 19. Here's your ticket. Go Terps.
That's the fun part.
Yeah.
Ben, what the hell does your shirt say? What does your shirt say? I didn't come this far, and then I just can't read anymore.
I didn't come this far to
only come this far.
Only come this far.
Redundant. I like it. My style.
I didn't come to this bar just to come to this bar.
Yeah, there's always a motive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's do this because I'm a shitty show host and I just took the first 8 minutes of the show to talk about myself. How about Ben? You introduce yourself a little bit. Give us a little business background, how you got into the home service space, what you're up to. Obviously, I know you do some pressure washing stuff. Are you playing the holiday light game? I think you've done some high rise stuff. You got you've done a whole lot of shit. Give us some background, and then we'll get into it.
All right. Well, I think my business is about 8 years old now.
It's just another kid. It's just another kid.
It's just another kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my dog barking. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but
he wants in. He wants to be part of the party.
He's a big dog. He's a bull mastiff.
Oh damn, he is a big dog.
Yeah. But yeah, I started in pressure washing really because I didn't know what else to do.
What were you doing at the time when you were like, I guess I'll do some pressure washing?
Well, I started off going to be a fisheries biologist.
Oh, badass.
Yeah, and then I thought about being a game warden.
You'd be a
And
scary ass game warden. If I ran into you, I'd be like, fuck, I'm getting a ticket for sure. Like, I'm not even like, it'd be one of those things where it's like, I know I'm not doing anything wrong, but I feel like I'm about to get a ticket.
I'd definitely write you a ticket. But I mean, that's probably the worst job you can have. I don't think anybody likes them. Like,
No, it's very
I've never
thankless.
met a game warden that somebody likes.
I've run into a couple that I didn't mind, but I've also run into some real dickheads, and I'm like, I get it, man. I would also rather be out hunting and fishing too instead of chasing my ass around. And like, by the time you catch up to me, even if I'm not doing anything wrong, you feel like you ought to write me a ticket because I'm out here.
Yeah.
It's a bad job. It's not a great job.
But that's what I thought I was going to do when I was in school.
Are you just like a polite redneck, or why would you want to do that job? What made you think you want to do that job? I don't know why I said polite redneck. I don't know how else to classify somebody that's that outdoorsy.
That's probably right. I'm from Southeast Kentucky, like right on the Tennessee line.
Your cousins are out moonshining right now.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's nothing. That's all I was exposed to. It's either be a teacher or work for the Forest Service. That's really the only two options.
2 options, baby.
So I thought I want to do that until I found out how much they got paid. Started out like $27,000 a year.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, hey, it's okay. With inflation, they're up to 29 now.
Yeah. It was terrible.
You okay over there? You didn't lose your bottle of whiskey, did you?
No, it's my catnip.
Oh, good. Well, at least it wasn't the bottle.
That's my cat.
I thought he said it's catnip. I was like, what in the world are you? That's why the dog's going nuts.
It's the first episode we've ever had somebody snuffing some catnip.
Some catnip. I thought I seen Rob doing that, actually.
Yeah, that's part of his shtick. God, you would think with how Ben and I were acting last week, we might have been in the catnip for all I know. I don't know what.
It wouldn't surprise me if Ben slipped you some.
He might have. I know I was cleaning deer and drinking Busch Lights for most of the day, so I have a good excuse. I don't know what his excuse was. So you're thinking outdoorsy shit, but they don't make any money. So, but I mean, but at the same time, I feel like you're still doing outdoorsy shit. You just found a different way to be outside a lot.
Yeah, that's actually one of the best parts, being outside, and the money is much better too.
Yeah. When you got into it, was it hey, what's the thing I can get into that's cost effective off the get go, or a thing that I can get into that I think I'll like, or what was why pressure washing?
Yeah. I honestly think I was born for it. Like, because growing up, I'd always like get so detailed in like if I clean my room or something. And the science part, I liked, like all the chemicals.
That's that moonshine. That's that moonshine background talking.
Right.
Just a backwoods chemist.
Mixologist.
So you started doing pressure washing. What all have you done in between? And what do you guys do now? Is it still, I think it's still pressure washing based, but what do y'all dabble in?
Well, that's pretty much exterior cleaning is all we do.
Okay.
But we've done some pretty big stuff. Actually, up at Hershey Park, we did the Sky Rush coaster.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Dang.
And then we went to Tampa and did the Montu roller coaster.
Really? You got people are seeking you out just for roller coaster cleaning? You got just this weird roller coaster niche?
I hope so. I hope that's what's going on. But yeah, it's actually the same people both times.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you clean a roller coaster, do you just get to like ride on it and spray water while you go along? You just take in there with you and just go for a ride?
That's how they should do it, but no,
you probably have to have some crazy lifts and a lot of logistics to get into.
Oh yeah. It was pretty crazy with the lifts. I had 140 foot. But what's cool is they drain the lake. I don't know. Most coasters have like water.
Oh, no shit.
So they actually drain that down, and it's for that way they can get lifts and cranes in there.
Huh.
It's kind of crazy. You're in there with a lift, and it's got like a dam.
Yeah.
And they'll open it up for a little bit, and the water comes all the way up, halfway up the wheels on your lift, and you're like, it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, hey guys, I'm over here, right? You didn't forget about me, did you?
We're still here. Yeah.
Is it like a month-long process then for like the cleaning, or is it?
No, it about 10 days is what it took us.
Okay.
Are they cleaning it for like appeal, or is it a maintenance thing to make it keep it running good?
With the two we did was definitely for appeal.
Okay.
Because they were very dirty.
I suppose. I mean, it's like there's just got to be a lot of grease and grime coming off of those babies.
Okay, so I know a lot of them do obviously use the tires for propulsion and stuff like that. So is it also a lot of removing rubber and like acid cleaning, or is this like basically remove an algae off of metal and spray some bleach and let's keep going? Like,
yeah, that's what I was expecting when I first went.
Yeah,
but you'd be surprised at the wheels they use. They don't hardly leave any marks at all.
Huh?
So it's mostly just organic. Except for the hill going up with the chain.
Yeah,
that part had grease on it.
Yeah, I could also see like, yeah, guys, I don't want to spray any bleach or oxidize any of that.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did too. We stayed away from that part, and we stayed away from where the carts actually stop. So
the hydraulics.
Yeah, you couldn't spray anything corrosive.
So what do you just hit it with a bunch of water and try to wash some stuff off with some power, or do you just leave it and say it is what it is?
No, they wanted us to just leave it. It supposedly helps if it's dirty.
I mean, I feel like that's like me greasing the bearings on my boat trailer. I guess just leave what's in there, but just slam some more grease in there.
Yeah, just keep putting it in there.
Yeah.
I had a Rick Adkins, when I asked him about like maintenance on his pressure washers at one point, was like, Rob, I've never done an oil change. I just periodically just check in and I just keep adding more oil. And I just use the same pressure washers for like 10 years. And then eventually it's like, oh, well, it fell apart now. So I guess I'll buy another one. It's like, all right, that's a different way to
maintenance. Hashtag maintenance plan.
Yeah.
I do the same thing with my truck. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
Just keep adding it. Just keep adding
it. If it's a Ford F-150.
It's like gas. It just takes longer for it to use it, is all what's happening. So Ben, what obviously you got a big hotel project coming up here in Cleveland. What percentage of your business are you traveling for, and how the hell do you orchestrate something like that where how many crews are you sending? And when you're out there for a week, are you like, does the customer pay for you to like put them up? Do you guys pay it as just part of the bid? How the hell does that all work?
Well, it's all per job basis, but for example, the hotel's actually paying for us to stay there.
I suppose they got here. Come this time here, we got some vacancy.
Yeah, if I go up there and they charge me, I'm going to add double what they charge me to their.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Includes free room service, right?
And a continental breakfast with some dried out bagels. Booyah.
But and it's kind of hard to figure out sometimes. Like when we went to Hershey Park, I had no clue how long we'd be there. And with the cruise, there was 5 people I took with me.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just had to tell them, I was like, I think we can get it done in 2 weeks, but we may be faster. Because I'd never done one before, and I don't think they wouldn't really nobody I could ask. Like, that's done it.
I was gonna say, don't ask me. I want
to like. So I'm always fascinated by that. I mean, we've cleaned all kinds of like random stuff, and I like we got asked to clean a tank this week. Fortunately, it's a memorial tank, so I'm not really worried about messing up anything there. But like, did you get to do like a demo spot to like test some areas or like?
Yeah, that was actually cool. They actually sent me and my family up to the park.
Yeah.
And I actually walked in. I did a little spot, and they loved it.
Okay. Maybe they just multiply that by the linear feet and the stats.
Oh yeah, it did really help me figure out like how am I going to clean this thing. But it was so easy to test bottle spray and it disappeared. I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah,
this is going to be good.
I got a couple shout outs I got to hit. Amber Elise jumping in. I got to catch up with Amber. It's been a hell of a long time since I had her on the show. She's a cool cat up in my neck of the woods. Up in Minnesota here, she's got some cleaning content, and we're just cleaning stuff. And then my buddy's old man Dan Merrick chimes in. I forget if I was calling myself a dumbass or maybe I was calling Ben a dumbass. I don't know who I was calling a dumbass, but he said it was too nice of a word.
Too nice of a word.
So I think he was looking for shithead or Jack or fuck stick or something like that. I don't know. But yeah. Good commentary. Appreciate it. So Ben, what give us a little for perspective. You've been in the game for 8 years. How big is your business? How many crews you got? If you want to talk numbers at all, obviously it's a number show, so feel free to talk numbers, whatever you're comfortable with. And then what do you see what's the runway for you? How big can our businesses in this space get? What's the ceiling? Where do you have a number in mind that you're like, I want to get to here?
You know, I was actually going to start asking you the exact same question since you're a bookkeeper guy.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed is if you only have 2-3 trucks and you do a lot of commercial work, the money you actually get to keep is way better than if I was to be just doing another truck and just doing all residential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But growing, I kind of went the slow route. That's because I have 4 kids. And well, it's a blended family, but they're
hey, whatever, they're yours. You're stuck. Yeah. They're blended or not blended. You have 100% of the responsibility.
So it wasn't like I could invest all this money back in the business.
Yeah.
So I just kind of took the slow growth route.
I see a lot of people try to take the fast growth route, and not that I would say, hey, don't try to grow fast, but they overlook the fact that growth is really expensive. And I've seen a lot of businesses fail and or just people be in a rough spot because they do try to take the fast growth route, and they overlook the fact that to grow a business takes investment. An investment is cash flow, and that's money out of your pocket and not going to your family and your hobbies and your livelihood and whatever else. Not to say spend all your money either, but there's some sort of balance in there to preserve your well-being and your lifestyle and whatever else you got going on.
Yeah, that was the only choice I had. I'd take care of my family first.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked out perfectly. We're doing well.
Hell yeah. Do you have how many guys do you have right now?
4.
Okay.
There's 4 guys.
Is there a runway for you where it's like, I want to get to this size by this point in time, or I envision the business to get this big or type of thing? What's the runway for you? Where do you see where are you trying to take this?
My goal is next year I'm going to add another crew and probably a sales manager.
Okay.
I think I can double everything if I do that with just those 2 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can double everything.
There's a funny thing that happens when you get to the level that you're at, where you have a few crews going. You get a nice level of insulation, and kind of like you said, there's a sweet spot in there where the money's pretty good and the problems are pretty manageable.
Yeah.
A little bit less than that, and the money's not quite as good because you have to make all the investments to start scaling, right? You start needing to shop, you start needing all the equipment, the repairs and maintenance stuff, and you don't have any insulation because you don't quite have the office person to help or the crew leads that can really hold their own.
Yeah.
And so there's sweet spots in there where you find the right level of people insulation to help solve problems for you. So not every problem ripples back to you. And that's pretty nice. But there's also a nice spot in there where you're doing enough work with those crews that it still pays you enough. Because I'm guessing, and Ben, I'm curious what your trajectory was through this. I'm guessing when you first started out, it was a lot of you being out there doing the thing. And then you started hiring people and you're like, oh man, I'm working harder and I'm having to do these, train these guys up. And for a period, you're making less money. And you're like, what the hell am I doing? I'm working twice as hard. I got these guys that keep screwing stuff up and I'm chasing them around. And so I got all their problems too. and that sucks. So I'm working harder. I have more problems, and I'm making less money. And there's like a period of time where you're just in that, I call it a purgatory. There's this like period of time where you're just like, what the fuck's going on in this business? Why am I doing this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully you can get through it to a nice, like, sweet spot where you're at now. But did you feel that? Did you get stuck in one of those spots?
Yeah, I absolutely did. But what got me through, I was thinking like, what's the exit strategy?
Mhm.
Like, if it's just you, I mean, you can sell your business, but if you actually have a legitimate business with all your books in order, you have a
Books.
whole
He
lot
said
better.
books in order. Just
Yeah.
everybody, books in order, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I decided to actually go past just myself.
Mhm.
Like I don't want to do it forever.
What is your favorite role in your business? There's like two things probably going on here. What was your favorite role in your business? What's your favorite role in your business now? How has that changed over 8 years?
When I started, it was actually being out there making stuff look new again. Like I
Yeah.
loved it. And now it's the sales, and just meeting people.
Mhm.
Like I think that's what I'm best at too. I really do.
It's kind of funny. I framed it up that way because I assumed it would probably be a little bit different. I feel like our role in our business is a lot like taste buds. It's just like, man, I used to love this, and now I'm just kind of like over it a little bit. But I guess I think I like sushi now, or something. Like I never thought I'd like just raw fish and a big ball of rice, but son of a bitch, you throw some wasabi on there, which I didn't think I'd like that either. But here we go. And I feel like running a business is kind of like that. Like you get a little bored of the things after a little. We're all borderline ADHD to some extent, and we're somewhere on that spectrum, right?
Yeah, I'm really bad ADHD.
So
Yeah.
we just can't do the same thing forever. And so that's part of the beauty of being a small business owner is don't worry because you sure as hell won't.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Rob, you looked like you had thoughts that you were going to say. What did you have something?
There's, I mean, obviously there's a lot there. I mean, like at this stage, over 15 years in the business, it's those new projects or just being able to, with the newness of our overall staff, like I can look at stuff just completely different than the way they do and like see those not errors, see the things, especially like for the Christmas lights. Like, we got 3 new sales guys that are taking pictures of stuff. And I'm like, all right, so I need to be able to see, this little part that looks like a castle top. I need to be able to see how much space do we actually have. Like, can we put an A-frame ladder up on this roof? If we can, we're good to go. But like getting these other angles and seeing the things that they're like, what? I took pictures of the house, but like they're photographing
Not just
for
any picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
like a wedding photographer out here. You got to get in there, get the right shot.
But yeah, I mean, and so like just how we view it, like again, back to the whole roller coaster thing, like you can look at it as this massive, enormous object or behemoth there, or listen, I'm cleaning 5 feet of metal at a time. How do I clean that 5 feet and then multiply it by whatever? Yeah. And I think that's been like, as we've grown, it's just knowing that like we're at the top in our market. And if there's a big project and you need, I would say I can bring a lot of force to bear on any particular project. If we need 4 trucks out there, if we need 5, we need 6, we still have enough equipment. If you need, we built one, and I'm disappointed I didn't get to actually use it, but we built a rig on a pallet because somebody wanted us to clean a marina, and it was 1,700 linear feet from the parking lot.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I was like, well, I'm not gonna. I'm like, I could see my guys with them on the wheels, and they're like, do, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, boss, we had 3 of them. Now there's only 1. I don't know what happened. It just fell off.
We're just not sure anymore.
We're gonna put this shit on a pallet, and then it's not gonna go anywhere. Like thinking through those things, like how do we make this that much better and faster?
Yeah, I actually just hired a project manager, which that's kind of his job is. But I mean, he does things a little bit different than I would, but he's getting there. Like he's starting to figure out. I mean, and he will call and ask questions like, "Hey, how would you go about this?" I've noticed there's a lot of times he actually has a better idea than me. So
That's it's scary and refreshing at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's actually probably one of the hardest things is when we're hiring technicians. It's very specific. It's like, here's what I need you to do. I'm going to give you very specific instructions about here's the process I want you to use. As we kind of work our way up the org chart, we have to like start changing our mindset to hiring people that are smarter than us to run that part of the thing. And it's this weird ass balance. I don't have it figured out, but I know what it is. It's this weird ass balance between like, I need to hire somebody that can think for themselves and can still follow the instructions and understand the difference between the stuff where it's like, here's what I know we need to do. Here's what I know you need to figure out. And I don't know the answer to, and that's why I hired you to figure it out. And so like, I need you to hear what I'm saying, and I need you to follow my instruction. And my instruction oftentimes is going to be, I hired you to figure this out. Right.
Yes.
It's this weird give and take of I need you to think about it differently than me, but also there's a reason why we do it this way too, kind of.
Yeah.
It's just the weirdest balance.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, with that, the hardest part is letting go.
Oh,
like,
dude.
Actually let them do it. Don't try to micromanage. Like the first 3 or 4 weeks is scary as hell.
Yeah.
But then you get to sit back and say, oh, he's got this. I don't have to worry about it.
That's why I just don't let Rob say much on this podcast.
Dude, that's what like and Ben, it is such a crazy struggle for me on that. Because like, especially for us with Christmas lights, like my whole thing is I want to beat up and destroy every possible process to the point that I've figured out like this is exactly how we need to do this process, and this is the best possible way. And if you like learn this process, follow the process, and then feel free to improve it. But if you're just like, no, I think I'll just pull a bulb and like I'm gonna go back and grab a tough clip, and then I'm gonna like, no, we have this process, like we've got the videos, watch this, do it this way, because trust me, I've done all of this and I've done it all the wrong ways, and we figured out that this works really well. And I even bought you carpets. You guys can prep the lights along the carpet on our floor. Sure.
But there's also that balance of like, I need you to fuck this up for yourself so that you understand, right? So like, I think that's part of the balance is like, I need to give you the freedom to screw stuff up, but I need to see enough where I can be like, wait, like, you can't screw that up. Like, there's other stuff I'll let you screw up because I know you'll get the lesson, but if you screw that up, it's either super detrimental or you might overlook the lesson because of the way that you are. And so I got to like draw and like trying to figure that out. And that part of it is different with every single person that you hire.
It is.
It's dependent on how they perceive stuff and how they think and how they learn. And so it's just goofy.
And that's where I was asking, like, so why are you doing it this way? Like, what's your thought process? You know, like why?
Besides that, you're a fucking moron. Why?
I mean, I'm seeing the really clear problem that you're putting 2 red bulbs next to each other and it's a red-white pattern. But no, we had one, and like the guy's like,
"Man, go, man, dude's just man,
apologizing about it." I'm like,
baby,
it's okay. Like, we're not going to undo 200 bulbs because now we have, like, we were doing white, red, white, green, white, and it's like we ended up with white, red, or whatever, and it was like, dude, take the snips, cut out the 2 bulbs that we don't need, and put a male and female, and we're done. Like, you don't have to apologize. I'm not worried about the 65 cents worth of stuff. I just need you to see, like, okay, we ran into an issue. How do you solve it? Like, do you see the issue? And B, how do you solve it? You know?
That's exactly how I see it. They're going to make mistakes. It was just like Dan was saying. Like, you just sit back and watch. Okay, he's going to mess up, but it can't be so bad where, somebody gets hurt or anything.
I like to parenting. This is just parenting. Managing people is so similar. I mean, it's like
it really is
right on. But parenting, it's like I want to catch my kids doing stuff right, because most of the time I'm yelling at them for doing stuff wrong. So I try to like go out of my way. Like when they do something right, I just want to like make sure I'm like, hey, that was awesome that you did it that way, because it's too easy to, I'm going to see immediately and say something when you're doing something wrong. So I got to make sure I'm giving you the positive feedback too. And I also try to really acknowledge when I'm screwing up. And I think I actually do a way better job of that with employees than I do with my kids, probably. But I try like a little bit self-deprecating, but just be like, hey, like part of our culture is we're going to screw shit up. I'm not trying to run a flawless business. I'm trying to run a growing business with the atmosphere to be able to make mistakes and learn stuff. And sometimes it's going to be costly, and sometimes it's going to suck, and sometimes our customers are going to be pissed. And that's part of running a business, and that's part of stuff we need to figure out. And we're constantly going to be getting better and learning lessons. But I don't want to create an atmosphere where you can't screw up and feel like, oh shit, Dan's never screwed up. Like no, like I'm screwing up double-digit times a day. And it's not I'm a broken record with it, but to me, it's not about what happens. It's all about how you respond. You're gonna screw up. Yeah. Do you own it? Do you fix it? Or do you run from it, hide from it, make excuses, blah, blah, blah?
What did you learn? You know, what are you going to change? What are you not going to do? Or realize that, hey, that sucked.
It really is just like being a parent. It really is. And if they screw up, you don't want to be so harsh to where they don't tell you. Like, so you got to kind of be easy. You know.
I kind of wonder, are kids more afraid of telling you stuff, or are employees more afraid? I feel like
that's a great question. I don't know. That's a great question.
It might be a straight up tie.
But it's funny about who it is, though. It's much about who it is and how we are and how they perceive everything.
Yeah, it is. But I feel like the tendency of a lot of employees, it's like, man, it's just amateur or juvenile, or it's a similar mentality to my kids, which is like, man, if I don't say anything, I won't get in trouble. And I'm like, no, you'll get in 10 times more trouble when I find out from your teacher or when I find out from the customer. Like if you would have told me, yes, I would have been mad, but I would have been like, hey, thanks for being honest with me and owning it and fixing it. But if I find out from somebody else and you were hiding it from me, and now I have to deal with that problem, like, God, it's almost worse when it's an employee, because then you're like, oh, shit, Mrs. Jones is really pissed. And I had to find out from her instead of from you. And if I found out from you, we probably could have fixed it before you left. And now she thinks we neglected it and we were trying to run from it. And that looks really bad. And now I'm the one stuck dealing with it. At least with kids, like, there's no customer too. You're just
that's true.
All you have is, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. That's all you
can't file for unemployment.
Yeah.
They're already receiving subsidy benefits.
They're not going to drop a workers' comp. They're not going to drop a workers' comp claim on you.
Yeah.
It would be bad though, I think, if your employee seen you as like a parent. I don't think that would be a good thing.
But I've also seen people take it like too far as like being a friend to their employee.
Yeah.
No, that's no good. Yeah, that's no good either.
That's no good either. So it's somewhere in between where it's like you're an authority. You're not telling them what I don't because it's like you got to think for yourself, but you also need to obey what the hell I tell you. It's like, and you got to figure out how to do both. And I don't know how to do both. That's your job. I'm the one in charge here. So you figure out how to obey me and think for yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta lead.
Yeah.
You gotta be the leader.
Oh man. So Ben, what's the split in your business between commercial stuff versus residential stuff? Obviously, I know you do some big commercial stuff. Do you guys do a base load of residential too?
Yeah, we do actually. It's about 50-50 split right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like you like the commercial stuff a little bit more though, just less.
Yeah, just because the money is much better. And it's weird. I see people all the time say that commercial the money's not as good as residential, but I actually bid it almost twice as high as residential on the same square foot.
Now, part of it could be you just have the systems and the processes, right? Because the profitability of a certain job is just based on how well you can execute it. Like the price is the price.
Yeah.
Right. The market dictates the price a lot of times. Like you get what you can get. And so if you can execute it, your profit margin is going to be a hell of a lot better.
Yep. It's the market. And I think it's the amount of trust you can build with them, with the client.
Well, especially commercial, because if you have that relationship, they're calling you. And I mean, like property managers are that way. Commercial jobs are that way. When they have their person, they have their person and they're willing to pay more to know that they don't have to think twice about it. that you're just going to figure it out for them and solve their problems, and they're not going to have to chase you around. That's worth gold to anybody that's managing properties like that.
Absolutely. And it's I was looking back. I got 90% of my jobs off LinkedIn.
No
commercial.
Damn.
And what happened is I would just keep posting on there. And then a property manager seen it. So that property manager told another property manager. I worked for them. And this network just grew it's just because of LinkedIn.
Yep. I mean, that's where the pros are hanging out. That's where the property managers are hanging out.
Yeah.
Do you have like a minimum job size that's higher for residential because of that, where it's just like we're just not going to screw around if it's under $1,000 or something like that because
no, just the whole point of the cash flow, like he was talking about, like it's 300 the minimum.
Okay.
And the cash flow is a big reason for that.
Yeah, just get a baseline coming through.
To get these big jobs, they pay net 30, net 60. So
we had one that was like net 90 and was just like, come on.
Yeah, that happens too.
We got employees to pay, dude. Like, I get
so
it. You're the big fish, but
yeah, if you don't have that cash flow coming in, it makes it really hard for you to do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just turn into a bank then. I'm like, we can do net 90. I'm just going to charge you interest for those 90 days. I'm just going to put it right on the invoice. You can pay whenever you want.
I should do that.
Like if you want to pay in 90 days, my interest rate is 10%. So you can decide however you want to do it. Maybe it's 20.
Well, it's either that or you do the reverse and say like, hey, here's your price,
or here's the discount.
You pay in 30 days and you save $250. And they're like, okay. They're like, yeah.
2 ways to skin that cat.
Yep.
That's a good point. It's easier to say here's the price and then here's the discount, then here's the price and here's the penalty.
I don't think I could ever do it just because to me that would seem kind of unprofessional. Not saying anything bad about it, but say, oh, if you pay this early, you get a discount.
I had a guy.
Well, I mean, how would that be different, I guess, to you versus the person who pays via check or credit card? I mean, there's for the ones that like we don't charge a credit card fee, but I mean, if somebody's going to go ahead and pay check, then sure, I'll knock 2% off or 1% off.
Yeah. Now, yeah. If you're talking about doing the small jobs residential, I completely agree with that. But on a big commercial job, I don't.
I mean, in a way, you just price it in, right? It's just built into the.
It is built in.
You don't need to nickel and dime it. You just build it in there so that you can afford to deal with the 90 days. Now, I'm a finance guy, so I'm like, every day that goes by, time value money. Here's the interest rate. Here's what the time value money says. I had a guy, and it's probably not his fault. He's just a salesperson, and I went off on him. But he came in, and I needed like a couple windows and a sliding door or something. It was like $5,000. And he was like, if you pay this way, like it's 0% interest to finance it. But if you pay it now, it's only this much. And I'm like, so it's not 0% interest. Mm-hmm. Like if I pay it now, it's this much. If I pay it later, it's that much. So what's the interest rate, dude? And he's like, well, it's 0% interest. And I was like, it's fucking not 0% interest because you're telling me if I pay today, it's this price. And if I pay in over 2 years, it's this price. And he's like, no, man, it's 0% interest. And I was like, listen, you piece of shit. Like,
would you like me to break out a calculator or an abacus for you?
I brought out my calculator because I'm a finance guy. And I was like, hey, man, maybe I'm just the wrong customer. But like, I'm not going to use your services because you don't actually know what the hell you're selling. Yeah. Like your windows are probably great. But either you're a dumbass or you're an asshole. And I don't know which ass you are. And I was like, here, the interest rate is 14.8%. I just did it. I was like, here's how you do this. Like I got out my calculator and I was like, see how this works? Yeah. If I paid this or didn't pay it, the difference is this. And I was like, so next time somebody asks you, at least you can tell them what the interest rate is. And maybe they won't think you're a dumbass or an asshole. I don't know which one you are, but you got to get the fuck out of my house. So yeah. It felt pretty good to do that.
Is that what you actually did though?
I literally told him, like, I got the calculator out and I was like, I don't know which one you are. I told him that exact thing. and he was either a dumbass or an asshole. I was surely an asshole.
Yeah.
I was absolutely an asshole.
Or delusional and not good at math.
I don't like dumbass. He was either a dumbass or he was an asshole.
I worked for Bath Fitter for a hot minute, and you would take like their price sheet, because you would give them like a book now and you save whatever. I guess it was like 15% or whatever the percentage was. And because they didn't want people to really understand that it was a 25% markup to then give them, I guess, so yeah, it was 25% markup and then you give them a 20% discount. They would say, well, take this number and then divide it by 0.8. And then you would give that, like, because like all the numbers seemed kind of funky, and then you divide by it, and then you're like, oh, look, this takes us right back to the original price. Like, they just didn't want us to see that it was a 25% bump to give. Like, it was like, I'm too mad with this.
So I'm gonna keep going on this rant for a second. We're gonna stick with this rant for a second, because I see a lot of guys buy equipment on like shitty financing arrangements.
Yeah.
Where the thing, and I've got a specific example that I literally just looked at today. This is different, but just in general, I see like these equipment financing things or like accounts receivable financing things where it says an interest rate on it. And that interest rate doesn't actually pertain to the annual percentage rate calculation of what they're giving up to get whatever they're getting. It's just like a skewed thing. And then
is that legal to do that?
I think
Yeah,
they have lawyers that have figured out how to do it, because they do like a bank charge, right? So they don't charge it all as interest. It's a finance charge of this, and then a this of this, and then a fee for this. So your interest rate's only 15%. But really, so the one I looked at today, and I sent the person a message to be like, hey, next time you're thinking about doing something like this, like, for the love of God, talk to me first.
Yeah.
So that we can like do this math together. It was basically, it was like an accounts receivable financing thing. And it was essentially a 50% charge. So I think it was like they were giving up 50,000 of future revenue. They were getting 30 whatever thousand, and it was of the, call it 33,000 ish. So they're giving up like $17,000. And I was like, you're getting $33,000, you're paying 17. That's like a 50% interest rate.
Yep.
But you have to pay it back in a half of a year. That's 100% interest rate.
Yeah.
You're paying 100% interest on this money, and you could find a bookie or a drug dealer to give you a better deal than that. Right. So it's like there's better alternatives out there, but I get it, because when you're in a business and cash is tight, and on the document from that company that sold this person that shitty ass finance deal, it said 15% on it.
Yeah. It sounds like they took the low number and used that to sell.
Yeah.
And they had the hidden fees in there.
Well, and that's where people will look at what the payments are and not the total amount. And it's kind of funny, because we bought a couple of trucks recently, and the guy's like, oh, well, it's only blah, blah, blah different. And I'm like, no. I'm not doing a 72-month payment plan. 4 months, 4 years. That's max. I won't finance anything beyond that. A technician, he left or whatever. We parted ways, and he bought his own hot water, like little mini trailer thing. $12,000. Like, and when you look at this, you're like, this has got $5,000 worth of equipment and about a $3,000 trailer. Yeah. So you already got screwed over on that. And like, I would have built you one for less than that. And then I think it was either 23% interest. And I was like, so you're
on top of it,
dude. His payment plan on this, same thing, Dan. I mean, it's going to be like, at the way he's paying it, his $12,000 trailer is going to cost him $18,000 or $19,000.
At least it's not 100% interest. That's all I'd be like.
It was unreal.
But I think like when you're very short-sighted, right? That seems like when the world's collapsing around you and you just got to solve this immediate problem, you ignore the long-term ramifications of signing a shitty finance deal. Yeah. And in a lot of our cases as business owners, like, we have a lot of problems right in front of us, especially when we're just starting out, right? Or when shit's hitting the fan. We look at short-term solutions. It's like a drug. It's like, yeah, I know this is going to suck later too, but at least I can like avoid the pain for a little bit now by doing this shitty thing.
Well, so we'll put the question to Ben then. So like, obviously as you've grown your business and with, with all the kids and all the expenses and everything, I've got 4 kids too, but like,
you dummies. I only have 3. You guys are dummies.
Dan still got, well,
sorry.
But what would you say is something that you did that enabled you to get more margin in there? Like, is it
That's
just, like how did, because like that's I think where people struggle so much is they can't. I got a guy, he's doing good, but like, hey man, can I buy bleach off of you and I'll pay you when I get paid by the client? And like, I don't care. Like, our revolving credit line is phenomenal, and like we're not worried about it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I really believe what I did is I saved up and paid cash for everything. Like, I have no loans except for my house and the lease for the shop. But as far as my trucks, the equipment, I actually paid them off. So that helps a lot, especially when you have employees and you don't have to worry too much about things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which it was hard to do. Like, I have these nice new trailers and trucks. Like, oh man, I could really use that. But I just refuse. Like, I'm going to save my money and I'm just going to pay cash for it.
Well, that's part of the value of the, I don't want to say slow growth because that sounds negative, but the slower growth of bootstrapping, it's not slower growth, it's profitable growth, because fast growth is not profitable usually. Yeah. So that's part of the strategy of a profitable growth, which is keep your money, right? Pay for stuff when you can afford it. Now, I'm on the record all the time of saying like, hey, it's fine to use debt. Just use it really intelligently. Like, don't rack on a credit card. Don't use an AR factoring company that's charging you 100% interest. Like, finance your company vehicle at 5%.
If I was
interest rates, just pay cash. But if you can get it, like 2 years ago, you could go finance a vehicle for 3-4%. Like, give me that all day long, because I know I'm going to return more than that.
You mean that we shouldn't take those phone calls and say, hey, would you like some more business capital to expand your business?
Oh yeah,
we're soliciting you, and I promise you, we're not going to, rake you over the coals.
Now, I'm not for sure onto this, but the voice on those calls sounds really similar to the ones about my car warranty running out, and I stopped getting those calls. So I think it's just the same dude.
Yeah, it probably is.
I love those ones where it's like, oh yeah, your extended warranty. I was like, oh, which car? Well, what cars do you have, sir? I have 13. Oh, get off the phone. Stop wasting my time. Like, come on, man. Ridiculous.
The hovercraft, man. The hovercraft?
The hovercraft?
Yeah, is it the hover? That's what you just start saying some bodacious shit.
Oh yeah.
You're talking about my hovercraft? You're talking about my airplane or my private jet?
Are you talking about my 6-wheel Hummer or whatever? Like there's like the crazy like tank Hummer things they have.
The stretch limo?
Yeah.
Why did you up on that? Damn it! God.
That
I
Navigator.
I just renewed it last. Didn't I talk to you 6 days ago when we renewed that thing? So Ben, you said you're getting another crew going. Are you in your northern Kentucky, right? So what's the seasonality like? I had a business in Cincinnati for a while. We slowed way down in the winter. To do that, is it really a March thing to start firing stuff up like that?
Yeah, it's really slow here. I'm right next to Cincinnati. That's 5 miles.
Mm-hmm.
But it's real bad. The first
you're
year,
you're in the nipple of Kentucky.
I am in the nipple of Kentucky.
Have you ever heard that before?
I have, actually.
Really? Damn, I was hoping I was the first one to think of it. Oh well. Yeah. There's one other dumbass out there that called it a nipple. Cool. So it's like a March strategy. Start putting assets in place.
Well, March, I hope to have everything in place by March.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start working on it first of the year. And
do you guys like shut down at all in the winter, or
No.
do you keep a skeleton crew going?
Yeah, we keep going. What I try to do is get a commercial job down south,
There you go.
a decent sized one anyway.
Yep.
But there's always 2 to 3 weeks where it's so cold up here that don't do anything.
Yep. Tell me about it. We have a business in Minneapolis.
Oh yeah, you probably
Actually, right now it's still 46 out. Like right now at 9:00 at night, it's 46 out. Usually this time of year it'd be between 16 and 26, and everything would be frozen up, and we'd be slipping around on roofs trying to hang holiday lights because we can't gutter clean anymore. We can kind of window clean when it's below freezing, but washing's usually totally wrapped up. Holiday lights are getting sketchy right about now. But it's been in like the 50s every day here. It's might as well be in northern Kentucky. Might as well be in the nipple of Kentucky.
Yeah.
Didn't you guys have an earlier winter last year, and like it really like caught you guys off even earlier?
The last few years we've had snowfalls in October, and then they melt, and then they freeze, and then they melt and they freeze, and they melt and they freeze. So they really screw up gutter cleaning. And then we've had snowfalls in mid-November, like right about now, where you get like 6 inches, and it just totally screws up your holiday lights. Trying to navigate that on roofs and stuff like that. This year's been glorious. I think I was talking to Andy this morning. He's like, I think this week we sold like 20 grand in holiday lights just because people are like, oh, it's still nice out.
Yeah.
Like, let me get some work done. And I was like, oh, yeah,
it's Thanksgiving next week. I can't believe it. It's already Thanksgiving.
Ben, do you mess around with holiday lights at all? Or
no, I was actually getting ready to ask Rob. I've thought about doing it. Do you think it's something I should do?
So, and again, where you at, Ben?
He's in the nipple. I got this. He's in the nipple of Kentucky.
Nipple of Kentucky. Yeah. Then definitely do it. I mean, here's the thing with lights. I mean, it all depends. What's your population? What's your overall, how busy are you already in that time of year? Right now we're at 19 or 20 people on staff. Yeah. Really, we'd have, 12. We have to add on a lot of staff for Christmas lights. But I mean, it's completely changed our monthly revenue, like by a percentage. We now do 40% of our revenue comes basically in October and November.
That's insane to me.
It's absurd. Last year,
if you deer hunt, holiday lights suck, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But it's awesome. Like we've got a bunch of stuff going on in our business right now, but I'd figured that this year was going to be the year that we would become 50-50 lights and wash. Yeah. And it's, we definitely crank out
that's in 3 months, right? October, November, December.
I mean, we start in September, but
still, that's if you're like 50-50, that's crazy to me.
We go down to one wash truck this time of year. Now we're literally just dedicating one person a week is doing it, and they're getting 15%. But I told the office manager, I was like, it doesn't make sense to send that guy out to go do $1,500 worth of washing, which is still fine, when that guy on a truck for lights should do $3,000, $4,000. Yeah. You can have a 2 or 3 man crew do $20,000, $25,000 in a week. And I'm literally working on some more stuff for our sales for Christmas lights, because as we've continued, it's evolved. We've gone up on our pricing, and now we have people from 6 years ago that have ridiculous prices compared to what we would charge now. And it's interesting trying to get people to like understand all the processes and everything. So
yeah, it just sounds like I'm pretty stupid for not doing it yet. So
let me play.
And so here's the thing: it's not too late for you right now. Yeah. Good buddy of mine, Pat Clark. He was like, man, I think we're gonna get into it next year. And it's like, Pat, go drop $5,000 on professional materials, and just go ahead and screw some stuff up. Just go throw it at the wall.
Exactly what I did. I haven't put anything up, but I bought things like 2,000 feet or something, and I got the cores, and I don't know anything about it, but I bought it to try to screw my house up to see if we like it.
Yeah.
Dabble.
I mean, it's R&D. You know, you can write it all off.
I don't know who made this comment. Generic Facebook user. It sounds like something Cole Sycophus would maybe say.
Yeah, or Joe Devino.
Could be Joe, could be Cole. So come up and spend a day, week, month with me. He's up in like Canton, Ohio area. I'll let you hang all kinds of lights while I'm out hunting. It's Cole. It's Cole. Yeah.
Yep.
I nailed it.
We do that too out here. I mean, you can come down for a couple days and it's amazing. The biggest thing I'll take, Christmas lights is not like any other business that you have Q4 to nail it. You don't have the opportunity to, you know, screw up in Q1. All right, let's figure out what do we need. How do we change our marketing? Let's do better in Q2. No, you have Q4 to nail it. You might be able to pivot a tiny bit at that point, but like, and that's where like we hit 4th of July and we start marketing for it, you know?
Well, it seems like in Washington, like all the really big jobs happen at the end of the year because they're wanting the tax write-offs.
Yeah.
So I've been saying I'm going to do Christmas lights forever, but I always get these big jobs right when I want to start Christmas lights. So I don't have like that's the reason I haven't started yet.
It's worked well for us to add those extra people on. So we go from 12 people to 20, and hopefully that 20 becomes like 15. So now we got 15 to start next year off. And so then that 15 will then become 25 at Christmas lights and continue to bump that up. And the real reason we got into it was to have work in January and February.
That's exactly my thought process.
We got into it because I finally had a full-time guy, and it was like, I don't want to have to like let you go. And I also don't want to pay you to do nothing. So, and that we got a 12,000 square foot shop that, you know, all the lights materials got to come back, all that, you know, there's a lot of logistics involved in it. And then, you know,
so what would your advice be to me if I wanted, you say it's not too late?
Yeah.
So what would you do? I have a pretty large client list. Just send out a mass email.
Yeah.
Say, hey, I'm new at this.
Yeah.
We're going to try it.
Well, and that's where you say, hey, first 5 clients, first 5 guinea pigs, whatever you want to call yourselves. You know, we'll give you guys like price it out normal and then give them whatever you give them 25% off or anything. Yeah. Some people will just be thrilled that you'll do it. And then again, you learn on it, you get your marketing pictures and stuff out of it. And then next year you're ready for it. And if your guys like, the other thing I like about it is I was looking at it as a multi-sport athlete. You know, if all you do is play baseball all day, every day, and you do all the travel ball, you're going to eventually hate baseball. But like growing up, and now like I feel bad for kids nowadays, but like I played soccer, basketball, and baseball. And so like you'd go through those time frames and it was like, all right, cool. I want to do something new. And like with Christmas lights, you're like, yes, we're finally starting it. I'm not going to smell like bleach all day. And then by the end of it, you're like, can I please just
I'm ready to be done.
I want to pick some leaves out of a gutter and use a surface cleaner. I am done with this. You know, I don't want to see another light bulb for 6 months. And yeah.
So how much, like, as far as how much you charge for lights, seems like the average I'm seeing is $8 to $9 per foot. Is that about right?
Yeah, we're at $9 a foot. And that'll all depend on your area too. Like what Dan's area and you know, the Twin Cities, they've got a much, much higher population. Like our entire service area within like an hour and a half drive is probably 350, 400,000 people.
And you have 20 employees?
Yeah.
You're doing something right.
Yeah. A lot of inefficiency, but we got a lot of people.
Yeah,
he didn't say he's making any money. He just says he hired a lot of people. That's all.
Hey, I'm just thrilled.
That was an hour and a half drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in the boonies of the East Coast, which I didn't know there was any.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you're in the nipple of a state.
No,
I'm from the belly button. Maybe I'm just an anatomist. Is that a word? You know what I mean? I'm an anatomist, a fucking geographical anatomist. Okay?
Cole, I'm gonna need you to write that down and use anatomist in a sentence in the future for Dan.
I'm a geographical anatomist because I'm from the belly button of Wisconsin. So
it's like a political science major.
Yeah, like you could be, you like if you're up in Cleveland, you're kind of in the armpit. If you're at like the bottom of the Michigan thumb, you're kind of in like the thumb crotch of Michigan, like in Detroit. Geographical anatomy, baby.
Ben, are you wondering where this is going to end up?
I don't know. I'm about to turn into a penis joke for
Cyrus, just
it's weird how his mind thinks. Like, I'm like, well, he just keeps rolling with it too. I'm like, okay, where? Like your mind's a little twisted, which is cool.
It's pretty.
Dan's been thinking about this for a while, folks.
Yeah.
No, I haven't been at all. That's probably the scary part. No. So here's the thing, Ben. This isn't like devil's advocate, because I'm not going against anything that Rob said, but here's a few things that I see from the nerdy finance angle. One is holiday lights are the worst the first year you do it.
Yeah.
They're a little bit better the next year, a little bit better, like more than most things, because you're going to spend 30 to 40% just on the supplies for that house. And assuming you're going to do the model, this is kind of the common model where you like own the lights, you install them, you store them, you take them down, you store them, all that stuff. So when you own the lights, you make $0 the first year. New clients, you make $0.
How is that? I don't get that part though. Because
so here's assuming you're spreading it across your entire business model. You spend 30 to 40% on supplies. You spend another 10 to 20% on labor. You spend another 5% on gas, merchant processing fees, bullshit, other like cost of good customer damages and repairs, because you got to go out and do a service call or replace some lights or whatever. Then you got 10% into marketing and 15% into sales and admin and 10% into infrastructure. There's no money left. When you roll it down your entire P&L, like gross profit, sure, you make a few bucks.
Yeah.
Now, why
the next year though?
Because now all those repeat clients, that 30% that went into supplies is all gross profit that rolls. Like your infrastructure cost is still the same, but you can install it a little bit faster, right? Your labor is a little more efficient. Like Rob said, your crews get more efficient because when you take it down, you can organize it in a certain way, assuming you do good at takedowns. And so the profitability really like escalates the more you've been in the game.
Yeah. That's why Rob was so big on his systems, because he has 20 employees.
Mm-hmm. Well, and with the retained inventory, I mean, that was the other thing. And like the size business you are makes a huge difference in the success that you can have in that. Mm-hmm. Like I remember the first year we had probably like $3,000 or $4,000 worth of jobs like booked and then canceled. And that was the difference between us having, it was less than $5,000, I think, in unused materials that I'm like, Can I please take these back to you guys? Will you refund me? Like, can I return these back to the store? Like freaking out. And I'd say I probably had at least $20,000 worth of materials last year that didn't get installed. Mm-hmm. And I'm not worried about it all. I mean, like,
but it's gonna crush your profitability this year, baby.
All profitability is gonna be sick this year. I'm stoked about it because we need it to be that way. And I like we're other than maybe buying a whole bunch of new wreaths, like. We're set on lights. Like,
is that good to do? Like all the extras, like that, the reefs, I seen guys even do like the blow up stuff.
No blow ups.
But wreaths, yeah.
Wreaths, yeah. And I had a guy, one of our clients, like he asked for a 60-inch wreath, and it was $325, and he's like, I never complained, but $325 for a wreath, and I was like. My price was basically just under $200 for the product. Plus greenery's got to be freight shipped, plus taxes. And then I got to get a guy all the way up. It's like, that's the price. And like our wreaths, I still want to get better ones than what we have. I hate dealing with garland, but it's
so is it the same process with the wreaths? Like it's like a 3-year contract type of thing, or?
That all depends on your area. I mean, that's something where, I don't do contracts.
Well, if you're good at it and they like you, they're going to call you again.
Teresa's buying your wreath, Rob. Send it. She's in.
Yeah.
You just got to get her down to Tulsa. You got to get that wreath down to Tulsa. She got it. 60-incher for
yep.
I mean, some of that green stuff is a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it's just part of the game. I think Ben, and this is on steroids with holiday lights, but no matter what your service is, you always, and no matter what like the new thing is that maybe is an opportunity, there's always the trade-off of the cannibalization of whatever it is that you're really fucking good at already.
That's a good point.
So you can add more employees, and then you got to do the ramp up and the ramp back down, and that's a thing to manage, right? And so it helps to have some insulation, some resources to do that. But if you sat here and told me like, hey, I'm like fully balanced all year, I got capacity and demand on lock, I know what we're doing, we're super profitable, I'd honestly say like, don't mess around with holiday lights. If you want to, start it as a separate entity, but don't like ruin a thing and throw a wrench in it, and all of a sudden you're every time you start a new thing like that, you get spread 50-50 and you lose focus because it probably takes 75% of your time to start a new thing. And now the 25% of your time working on the stuff that you previously had, that stuff starts to fall off the rails unless you have a really good person managing that. And so the more different things you do, the more spread thin you get. And take it from me, who had 10 different businesses at one point in time, friggin' sucks. Your head's spinning off and you can't do a good job with anything. So not to say don't do it when it's the right time in your business, and do it when it doesn't cannibalize other stuff you have going on. That you can get the highest benefit of it. If it does cannibalize, not saying don't do it at all, you would almost just do it as really like a separate entity in a way. Like,
that would be my other question. Should it be like a DBA or should I start?
It all depends on your brand. And also what your long-term plan is. Because Mr. Bookkeeper will tell you that. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if you're planning on growing and selling it, and like, I know a lot of guys that do washing and lights, and one of them said yesterday, he's like, I wish I could just could the entire power washing business just be lit on fire and I just get a check and just walk away from that and do just lights now. And so at that point, having like ours is Clean Power Wash and Delmarva Christmas Lights. Clean Power Wash Christmas Lights doesn't make sense. And so I wanted two separate brands, but it's still a DBA.
So it's still in the same books then.
Because, but it's that way because you're still using the same location. You're still using the same office people, the same sales people, the same infrastructures can support either business. Yep. I will say, and Rob, this is just like food for thought for you too, is holiday lights are a gateway drug into landscape lighting, not landscaping, landscape lighting.
Yes,
because it is. All of a sudden you're like, oh, I got this. I have these guys that can hang lights. And so they understand low voltage lighting. Mm-hmm. Oh, and now I have to have this ramp up. And so I get this glut of seasonality. Maybe I'll just turn this into its own animal and we'll just light stuff off and get into permanent holiday lights, which turns into landscape lighting, which is awesome industry, by the way. And so
that goes to being spread too thin, like you was talking about.
Well, a little bit, but that's where it's like maybe you sell the pressure washing, or maybe you have somebody, maybe your pressure washing is big enough that somebody else can run it and they just need you for 3 hours or 4 hours a week, right? Just they need a boss, but they don't need a manager. They need a leader, but they don't need somebody there looking over their shoulder. So that there's a person in charge of pressure washing, which allows you to go start a new thing. Because as you scale a business, at some point, and my buddy Ben Smith, who I was with last week, has this kind of going on right now, which is he's scaled the business. They do a few mil. He has a general manager that runs the day to day. He doesn't know what the fuck his job is anymore. Like he doesn't even have a job. Like, but it's not. Because he's great at solving problems and getting in the thick of it, and now he's just the dude creating the problems. It's not nice. Yeah. It's like, and it's actually kind of funny watching him. Like I don't know if he would admit it, but he's kind of miserable. He's not happy because he's really good at solving problems. Like like I'm not joking. He is the best physical problem solver I've ever seen. He just, if there's a goofy thing going on, he can figure out how to make it work, and he likes it. And that's where that's like what makes him feel good, right? But now he doesn't have that. And so like he has to literally go break shit to have a role in the business to be able to go save the day and fix stuff, which we all kind of have this like hero complex, a superhero thing going on, right? So it's weird to grow a business to the point where it doesn't need you anymore because you're like, but it's mine and I built the thing. Why doesn't it need me? And so having the next business is kind of nice because then you're like, okay, I don't need to go break my pressure washing company. I'll stay out of the weeds on that. I'll coach you and I'll lead you in whatever. But now I got this other animal that I can do my ADHD bullshit with instead of fucking up your business manager, dude.
So that's where like the whole landscape lighting thing. We had 2 sales guys end of last year that I was like, I'm all for it. I don't want to know how to do any of it. I want this to start. You can run it. You can do whatever. I want nothing to do. Like, I want money, but like, I don't want to, I no longer want to be a technician on that side of it. And then the other thing, as far as the spreading yourself too thin, is that we still stay solidly busy on the power wash side. And I've always hey, Dan and Ben, I need you guys to just wash every day and don't screw anything up for the next 2 months. I'm not going to overload you. I just need you
no
to
promises.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, the way that it works though is like you take your varsity squad gets moved over to lights, and then you're left with the JV squad doing the washing, and then that becomes it's like what do I sacrifice like $100,000 in potential light revenue to have no headaches with the wash, or like that's always the struggle. And I mean, obviously, if you've got a big enough business, enough people, then you can, avoid some of that.
Just the trade-offs of being a business owner.
Yep.
So after all that, Ben, where's your head at? You gonna send an email tomorrow morning?
I think I'm going to try it. And a big part of it was just the reason Rob started to keep people working January, February. And if like all these numbers people talk about, it's insane to me. Like,
it is crazy.
What'd you do gross last year in business?
Is like 1.6.
I don't know how you do that with that's where we definitely have people that are not producing at the revenue that I'd love to see.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. If you keep your crew small and you do the right jobs, you can actually bring home a lot of that money.
Yeah.
Get the right jobs. But and I think holiday lights can support that margin structure, right? Like the money is there so that you don't feel like, oh, this is we're
nowhere near as profitable on wash. The other, the whole rest of the year versus lights is where lights we go from the red to the black.
I have a ton of bookkeeping clients. I mean, even my business in Minnesota, I think we're shut down December through March. Like we run 8 months out of the year, basically, even with holiday lights, because we can't do takedowns until April. It's just everything's frozen here for so long. Come on, global warming, where you at?
I know, I'm ready for it. Like,
bring
this place up.
Yeah.
And that's actually that was the goal this year. I don't want anybody to. It's 1.6.
The goal was to produce more greenhouse gases to heat the planet. That was the goal this year. I was measuring our carbon footprint. We increased it. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
But like I forget where I was going. I had something cool to say, but I just forgot about it. So it's all good. Something about being in Minneapolis and working 8 months and being down 4 months. There was a point there. I'll have to go back and listen. We'll do the red flag instant replay. I'll figure out what the hell I was going to talk about. Now, last week, Ben was like, how do you do that as a show host? Like, you remember everything we were talking about, and you like 10 minutes later, you're like, okay, back to what we were talking about. And I'm just like, yeah, man, but like not always. This is right here. I had a thing. I was going to bring it back to the thing. I forgot what the thing was. Welcome to hosting a show, a live show. Yeah, holiday lights, man. It's a trend, right? And it's kind of a fad, and it's going gangbusters. I don't think it's going to go away. I don't think it's hit the point of saturation yet either. It's not like breweries.
It's got to be getting close, seems like.
I don't know, dude, because there's still a lot of people out there hanging their own holiday lights that have no business hanging their own holiday lights, right? So like microbreweries, halfway through the microbrewery craze, I was like, this shit's got to be over with. And then breweries kept popping up, and then breweries kept popping up. And then eventually, like about 6 years after I said, this shit's done, eventually then it slowly started to slow down. And I feel like holiday lights just isn't going to go away. The pace is going to slow down, but it's just naturally going to transition to landscape lighting, man. Like it's going to turn into permanent lights and landscape lighting because people love investing in their homes.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense for it to transition to that, though. Like,
yeah,
totally.
that makes way more sense than the whole
gateway drug
concrete coatings, the garage floor coatings thing. It's so different.
Yeah, that was a really big thing around here, like maybe 2 years ago. Seemed like there was companies popping up everywhere. There's still companies. They're still doing good. There's still new ones. But it seemed like there was so many new garage floor coating.
Tons of them.
Tons of them.
Ellie Mason checking in. What's up, Ellie? Howdy. She says howdy. She probably didn't say it like that, but that's when I think of howdy, I go back to like South Park. Giving Teresa a shout out. Yeah, man, I looked pretty hard at garage floor coatings. I thought about it, and then I just didn't. There's so many businesses that because I'm in Minneapolis, I'm just like, nah.
Yeah.
Like, no thanks. I'll do bookkeeping. I can do that 12 months a year in Minnesota, and I can do my bookkeeping from my ice fishing shack.
Yeah, what I don't know what I would do in Minnesota. Maybe make syrup or something.
Probably drink a bunch of beer.
Yeah, drink a bunch of beer.
You do a lot of that. You can make syrup, but it's really only like late March, early April. Yeah. It's about now. Here's like a perfect early spring day is you get out ice fishing in the morning. When the temps heat up enough, you go get your sap off your trees. If you're a pro, you got them all like you got lines between your trees and all that stuff. We don't do that because that impedes the deer movement. We don't want to fuck with the deer movement. We want the deer to move naturally. Yeah. And so we just got bags on trees, like 200, 250 of them. And then you're walking around with 5-gallon buckets, dumping bags into 5-gallon buckets, dumping 5-gallon buckets into, 50 to 250 gallon tanks on tractors, and then putting that in the back of the truck, and then taking that to the guy down the street with the thing that boils it all down, the processing stuff. So you do maple sap, but it's really like you got a 2 to 4 week window, just depending on when the temps are in the right range. That's it, because it's got to be like it's got to freeze at night and then get up into like the 40s and 50s during the day, and then they run like crazy. But if it only gets up into like the 30s during the day, unless it's like really sunny and no wind, then you'll get some sap. But it's got to really hit like 40s or 50s to get the sap running. And if it doesn't freeze at night, they start slowing down big time. So you got like, it's literally like a 2 week window, maybe 3 week would be like decent. A 4 week would be kind of crazy if you got that, which we have once in a while. But it's a short window, but like a perfect day would be get up and ice fish a little bit. You have a few beers. Then you go out and maple sap and you have a few more beers. And then you get back just in time for the night bite. And then you have a whole shitload of beers. Perfect day. Oh, have it like you just slaying crappies.
Yeah.
Draining trees of their maple sap. It's badass.
I actually tried this maple candy that it was like the sweetest thing I've ever tasted in my life.
Dude.
Oh no, it was like in the shape of a little leaf, and it was made from the maple syrup.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was so good.
What's kind of cool is like when you have you ever tapped a tree before?
No.
so when you've got a tap in a tree, like when you put it in, if the tree's popping and it's ready to go, like it starts draining right away.
Yeah.
And you can just sit in there and just like a water fountain. It might as well be Propel. I mean, it's like it's really clean water, but you can like taste a little bit of sugar in it.
Yeah.
And I think it generally is boiled down like 40 parts to 1. It's like you got to boil it and boil it and boil it and boil it to get a bunch of the water off. And that's it. Like that is the processing. Like the sugar's in there. You just got to get rid of a shitload of water. Yeah. My kids are spoiled. When I grew up, we just had shitty processed syrup, like just the shit you buy at the grocery store. And now we just always have maple syrup, and they just don't know. They're just like, this is just what syrup is. And I'm like, no, man, like this is a treat.
Yeah, it is really good. Like it is
Back,
really good.
that's when I turned into like old man Plata. Back when I was your age, we had to buy our syrup at a grocery store, which doesn't make any sense, but that's kind of like the story that I've got. I feel like before that it would have been back when I was your age, we had to make our own syrup, and now you just buy it at a store. And I'm like, I'm going with the inverse of that. Back when I was your age, we had to buy our syrup at the store. We couldn't even make it ourselves. Ellie says that was the late 90s, Dan. Yeah. Oh man. How the hell did we get talking about maple
syrup? Yeah.
What happened to this pod?
Things to do in the winter.
Yep, things to do. Yeah.
Make syrup, more babies.
Syrup is Wisconsin, family business. I do think it's funny. So Vermont always is like, yeah, Vermont maple syrup, right? The dude that we bring our sap to, like we've boiled it down ourselves. Boiling it down sucks though. Like you gotta there's a guy a mile away that has a big processing shed. They drink a lot of Busch Lights in there. That's all people do. Like you get smashed when you're boiling down syrup because it takes forever. But so they got like good processing equipment. And then they got these 55-gallon drums, and they'll package some locally and sell some locally. But the majority of the maple sap that comes from central Wisconsin, where we're at, 55-gallon drums on a semi truck going to Vermont. They mix it 49% in with 51% Vermont maple syrup, and it is sold as Vermont maple syrup. It's just some bullshit. It's just some bullshit. So anyway, that's what we do. That and ice fishing. That's all you got.
Yeah, that's something that I've never done, the ice fishing, but I love to fish. I love it.
We can probably fix that. We can solve that problem. That's a solvable problem. It is a problem, by the way, that you have an ice fish. That's a problem. But it's solvable. What's this? Hold on. I'm going to read this, but I don't know if I understand it. Spotted Cowboys, the Spotted Cowboys. That's the only beer there should be allowed to drink up north. And I guess I need to be schooled, but I am lining Google's Spotted Cow. That's it. That's what she meant to say. Spotted Cow.
Lining Kugels. Lining Kugels.
Lining Googles. Yeah.
Lining Kugels.
Lining Kugels.
The Spotted Cowboys.
Yeah. Ellie. Your spell check.
Lining Kugels would automatically be spell checked to anything else.
Lining Kugels. Lining Kugels is the best autocorrect I've ever seen from Lining Kugels. That is hilarious. That's funny. I know Lining Kugels has some of their older beers are really good, and I know some of the dudes there through just weird, through like my uncle and then Dan Merricky, actually, who was the back to the dumbass is too nice a word. Dan who chimed in earlier, he has a fishing camp with so my college buddy Dan is his dad. They have a fishing camp in northern Wisconsin every May, and I'm blessed to be invited and head up there, and I was able to get up there for a day this last year. Dick Leinenkugel, who was marketing director at Linings for a while and then ran Leinenkugel's brewery for a while, comes to this fishing camp. Just like that. Now, I'll probably get the story wrong, but Dan Merricky here, who jumped in on this show early on, wrote Leinenkugel's a letter and basically was like, yo, guys, we have a fishing camp. There's just like 6 of us, and we drink a lot of your beer. And it'd be cool if you'd sponsor our little fishing camp, and in exchange, we'll like represent you guys in the Northwoods of Wisconsin, because they're always Dan's a fishing guide, and a bunch of their guys spend a lot of time up there. And Leinenkugels was like, "Yeah, sure."
Oh, nice.
So they like sponsor the beer for this dude's fishing camp, and then these guys like represent Liney's, and they're called the Northwoods guys up in northern Wisconsin, and they dish out a bunch of Liney's, and then Dick comes to the fishing camp every year, which is just freaking hilarious. So I got to see Dick this last year, and I talked to him a little bit about it, but I didn't follow up. I need to follow up with Dick and see if he's interested in sponsoring the home service happy hour. I feel like this is right up Liney's alley right here. I don't know if it is at all, but it could be in my best interest for them to sponsor my show. I don't know if it's in their best interest. It definitely is my best interest. Ellie says, I'm more northern than you. I'm Finnish. That's way the hell up there. Way the hell up there.
Is there, hey, Rob, let me ask you another question about these Christmas lights. Where would be a good place to buy the stuff from?
Not Home Depot.
Yeah, not Home Depot.
I'd buy them from Rob. It sounds like he's got about 20 grand worth sitting around.
Yeah, you got 20 grand sitting around.
I got a lot.
Yeah.
So the big thing with it and with where you're at, it comes down to shipping. There's a lot of great vendors and stuff, but like what really busts up your P&L is the freight shipping, which if you're placing a decent size order, that's how it's going to come, or just getting destroyed on shipping of any other kind. Like our main suppliers in Philly, I can say, Dan, take the truck and trailer, or even just like a pickup truck, and he can drive up to Philly, get a nice cheesesteak and about $20,000 worth of lights, and drive back same day.
I'd crush a cheesesteak.
Yeah,
dude, it's great. Like our SOP for picking up lights literally has like a map. Park here for cheesesteak. Park here for picking up lights. Here's $25. Like they used to cover their tolls and the cheesesteak, and it's like such a good cheesesteak that like you eat like the massive one. You're like, it doesn't annihilate your inside, so you can still make that 2.5, 3 hour.
Now you gotta drive back.
No, it's like it's an anomaly. It's that good, but it's like the soup Nazi only for cheesesteaks.
I don't know what you buy locally, Rob, but we have a Reinders in Minneapolis, and I forget when we used to install lights in Cincinnati too, Ben. And I don't remember. I think there was a Reinders out there somewhere, and it was like if we were just buying warm whites, we'd buy certain strands and certain bulbs in bulk.
Yeah.
But if we had anything that was like custom at all, if we ran out of anything, Reinders was like the local shop that we used. And I don't know if there's a Reinders in the Cincinnati / nipple of Kentucky area.
Well, what's it called? Reinders?
Reinders.
It's like reindeer only.
Yeah.
Okay.
R-E-I-D-E-R-S.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I think like if you can find that, they're like a landscaping supply company, but they carry decent like commercial grade lighting stuff. And so I think if you can find good commercial grade lighting, it's good to be able to like buy some bulk, but also have the flexibility to be like, oh shit, we just sold this job and we need 100 more of these. Go get them now. And like the margin structure supports it generally.
Yeah. I think last year I seen a lot of posts on Facebook where people's lights were stuck in the ocean on these ships that would
like, big time in COVID. Big time during COVID. That was a huge issue.
Well, 2021 it was a mess. The amount of stuff they got, because it was a mess all around. But it's something that after your first year, you go from being a freshman in high school to being a sophomore. You think you got shit figured out, and then by junior year, you're finally like, all right, I got this. And you're making more money and you're not worried. Like, I didn't care that I had, 4,000 extra female inline plugs because they're going to get used. They're not going to go bad.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about running out of stuff right now. So
it seems like a big thing you got to take in consideration if you're going to scale is storage. Like if you keep it all, you got to really keep that in consideration, how big you get with that.
Yeah, I've got $250,000 in Christmas lights in our shop.
Yeah, the insurance on that is the thing.
It's actually not bad. The biggest thing on the insurance side of it, though, is to literally have a hey, it's December 27th. Dan, insurance guy, could you up my contents coverage 100,000, like at least every year? Like, and it's so cheap to do that. And they're like, well, can you itemize it? Yeah, they're $10 per strand. Would you like me to itemize?
I have 1,000 $1 bulbs in this bin and another 1,000 $1 bulbs in this bin.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Ben, it just goes back to just trying to find like the local person, especially year one. It's just like you're damn near at this point, you're like selling a job and then going like, sounds good, Mrs. Jones. And then you turn around and you're like, all right, supply shop, here's what I need for Mrs. Jones's house. Like year one, I think you kind of you play that small ball singles and doubles, right?
Yeah.
And you get the baseline of work. You're like, okay, we're gonna add 40 or 50 clients this year. Like that's the game plan. We might add 50 to 60, but those last 10 are going to be in early December and they're going to pay whatever the hell we want them to pay because they're gonna be like, oh shit, we don't have lights. We're gonna spend whatever we need to spend, and that'll afford you to go get lights wherever you need to go get lights at that time. But you'll kind of have like a pre-buy that you do. And I mean, like, I don't know, Rob, if you'd agree with this, but generally you're like, all right, I'm gonna get this spacing, this type of bulb, warm white for days, because that's what 90% of people want. I'm not gonna fuck around with any colors. If you want to do colors, maybe I'll entertain it, maybe I won't. If you want to do these mini lights, maybe I'll entertain it, maybe I won't. This coming from a guy that the last 2 days the squirrels destroyed the mini lights I have on my trees. I mean, they just don't give a fuck about those mini lights. Like yesterday one tree was out, so I like just unplugged it. The other tree was looking good. Today, like only the first half of the bottom strand is lit up. Squirrels chewed. I mean, like the whole tree is lit up, and squirrels just annihilated that strand.
Is that common? Is that common for squirrels? Is it?
Yes.
They're the same squirrels that have caused the check engine light in my truck to go on, because my truck is parked right there. They clearly have a taste for wires.
So it's two things. The copper's salty, and they like that.
Yeah. And well, guess what? I'm gonna put a bunch of salt in a cage, and they're gonna like that too.
What? And apparently they some of the the wire insulation that's on them now is made with a soy base.
Oh.
And the thing is that they don't get electrocuted because they start chewing it during the day, and then it works fine until it rains, and then it trips, and then you get clients that claim that the squirrel excuse is BS, which is why we use company cam, and I take all the pictures and show where their guy literally took it and stripped the ends of the wires, and then he just twisted all 3 wires. It's the most ghetto fab looking thing, and you're like, dude, clearly a squirrel didn't do that, and I didn't do that. Your guy meant, it worked during the day, but hey, when it rained just a little bit Friday afternoon and you're worried about your whole weekend, now you're calling me freaking out and blaming me. It's like, it's
looks
not
more like a squirrel taped up your light for you.
There's some teeth.
We got it all twisted up.
Squirrels got those little hands and climb.
Yeah. Is that something that happens a lot? Like you have a lot of callbacks with lights, or
animal related? Not as much. It's more human related. Whether we've screwed something up, somebody didn't bother to tighten a bulb all the way.
It's usually a bulb on a rooftop, and it's always on the peak, just because that's the way.
So, did you have a time frame that you guarantee that you'll be back to fix it? Because that's what
it just depends on what the situation is. If it's all bulbs are out or all lights are out, we're going to be out there within 24 hours. Yeah. If it's a bulb or 2 that's loose, we're going to fix that. I'll show you. We got
kind of I feel like it's a little bit of the old act of God thing, or nature doing naturey stuff.
Does that look like that's the right color wreath?
What's going on? It looks a little brighter than the rest.
Yeah, that's warm white and red and cool white.
Yeah,
and we set them with the red and cool white.
How soon can you got to get a whole new wreath for that?
No, you just take all they need. They were sent with the lights.
Yeah.
We changed out the lights on the roof because she did warm white last year, and they just installed that. And the question is whether or not they most likely did not plug. I hope they didn't plug it in, because if they did, and then they're like, yeah, warm white wreath with pure white lights and red, that'll look
good. Yeah, a little switcherooski.
Yeah,
like a 2-tone. A bright white and a warm white. It looks real nice together.
It's yellow and white combo.
Yeah. Anyway, holiday lights. Go figure. Yeah. They're great until they're not. Until the squirrels get at them.
Yeah, it all. But that's where you just put in your terms and conditions. We're not responsible for acts of God, nature, or idiot landscapers.
Okay, so if it is an act of God, do you go back and fix it and charge them for that?
Mm-mm. It all depends. I mean, here's the thing.
Do you go back at all once you go back and fix it and charge them for it?
It just depends on the situation. You guys get some crazy blizzard. It wasn't the derecho, whatever. Some crazy windstorm came through, and that's where you send out hey, we know that that windstorm hit everybody. Please let us know what's going on. Obviously, that's impacted all of our clients. We're going to have an extended period of time, when we're out in that area for it. We have our sales vehicles set up so that they can go out and do service calls for like a bulb. If they can get onto it on the first floor. I've definitely scaled a few roofs with no other harness stuff, but just the
climbing a tree, taking a tree branch to get to a roof. Like, I got this.
Yeah.
That's the second reason I hadn't started yet. I don't like the idea of employees being on roofs.
Cougar paws.
Yeah, that's
Cougar
it.
paws and the other, what's the goat? Cougar paws.
Yeah, as far as the roof shoes, we have those, but I've seen there's a Ridge Pro and a goat.
Yep.
But that's not really harnessed, and it can't be OSHA safe unless you drill something in.
Goat is first man up, safe assist.
Is it?
So, yep. And you go first man up, and then you go flip down the other side of the roof, and you're done. Yeah. So, bye-bye, OSHA. Our workers' comp guy looked at it, and he was like, I don't know what I think about this. But
yeah,
I'll say this, Ben, if you find a way to get out to Maryland, you and anybody else you want to can come just tag along on a couple of jobs, and you'll learn more in a day or two in the field than you'll learn with any other classroom or anything else.
How do all these people get away with posting that on social media? Like, there's people hanging off a roof. Their insurance sees that. It's not going to be good.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Ellie asks a good question here, Ben. She says, "Are you not growing? You want a different market? You tired?" And now I'm not trying to speak for you, but I'm gonna say, pun intended, it's a shiny object.
Yeah,
It's a shiny object, man.
Yeah, it's the whole working January, February.
And we're small business owners. We can't help ourselves.
Yeah, no.
Right. It's that ADHD. Ooh, I want to mess with something new.
Yeah.
Especially because you've got a couple crews and the other stuff is scaled, and it's you kind of hit that inflection point of what does Ben do all day? Because these guys are kind of starting to handle this. I better go start something new.
Yeah.
So that I can screw around with something.
Yeah.
All right, Ben. We're a couple hours in here. Let's wrap this baby up. Let me I don't always ask this question, but when I do, I love it. If you weren't running an exterior cleaning company, what would you be doing? Would you be back? And I'll preface and say money isn't an object. You kind of just get to do what you got to do. You got to pay the bills. Would you be in outdoor game management of some sort? Would you be doing something else outside? Would you be doing nerdy bookkeeping stuff? What would you be up to if exterior cleaning wasn't your jam?
I really don't know. I would probably be a biologist, a fisheries biologist. It's really hard to say, though.
You'd be creating all that moonshine chemistry. You'd be splicing all sorts of genetics together, just making the weirdest trout I've seen.
Yeah.
I like it.
Or I'd be in jail or something.
Maybe you'd just be out moonshining.
Yeah.
I think you'd probably just be out moonshining. Your cousins would loop you in, be like, "Come on, Ben, we got you. Here, try this." Meet us out on the back 40 at 11 p.m. We'll
it is so bad where I'm from. There's 2 stoplights in the whole county, not the town.
In the county?
The whole county, we have 2 stoplights. Actually, they might be 3 now. I haven't been back.
Sounds like some good deer hunting area to me. I don't know what's wrong with that.
Yeah. It's all Daniel Boone National Forest, pretty much the whole county.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the big thing on the lights too, that I'll say, just to end it on that. Your market matters so much. What is your available population and money? And then are you establishing a new service, or are you fighting for your own market share? We had to create basically our own market and educate people from zero to understanding what Christmas lights cost, versus if you're in DC, Baltimore metro area. Yeah. It's simply a matter of use me, not Ben. Yeah. So, but gents, it's been fun.
As always,
I'm going to take my sick butt to bed.
Do it. Thanks for jumping on, Rob. Ben, thanks for hanging out, man. I appreciate you sticking with it. Who knew we were going to talk about holiday lights for an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Who knew? Who knew? But I hope it was valuable to you. Good thing Rob was on to be a total holiday night light nerd. And Ellie, thanks for chiming in. Teresa, thanks for chiming in. It's super fun getting a little interaction going. I love the interaction. Feed off of that. Home service homies, thank you guys for tuning in. And if you don't know, obviously we're like live right now. So thanks for the people that were tuning in live. We're live on Facebook every week, a couple times a week, live on YouTube every week on the Home Service Happy Hour channel. If you haven't done it, I don't care if you go out there and watch anything. We carve up like snippets. So if you don't have time to watch the full episode, go get the home service bits, little happy hour bits, the shots. We could probably call them the shots. Go get the shots. Because there's probably like 2 or 3 things that we said tonight that were good out of this hour 45 minutes. There's probably a couple things in Jairus and our producers find them. Jai is going to find them. That dude finds them. And he's going to throw them out on the YouTube channel. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Even if you're never going to go watch anything, do it for me. Don't do it for you. Do it for me. Give me some subscribers, Go check out the podcast. Check us out on Facebook. I am starting. We have a private Facebook group. I'm going to start doing some like live happy hours in the private group, which is going to be pretty sweet. We're going to have when we do our radio show midday on Wednesdays, we're going to have a call-in line. That's going to be pretty sweet. We're also going to start a public group. Actually, my buddy Ben Smith, I think, already started a public group on my behalf because that's just the kind of guy he is. He's the dude that when you're like, hey, I got an idea for a thing, he like, the next thing he does is like show you his phone. He's like, oh, that's cool because I own the domain for it. He's one of those guys. The minute I said, I was like, yeah, I think we're going to start this home service happy hour thing. He's like, that's cool because I got this Facebook group for it. Like he started it immediately when I said, I think I'm going to do this. So I got to hijack that from him. But anyway, we got all sorts of cool shit in store, including a future Leinenkugel sponsorship. We're doing it. Liney's, I'm coming for you. Dick. Come on, Dick Leinenkugel. Where you at, buddy? Ben, thanks so much for hanging out. It's great catching up with you. Yeah. Long time in the making, and I'm glad we got to do it.
Long time. I'm going to stop and do some ice fishing eventually.
Shit, don't have to twist my arm. You just let me know. I actually, so here's the deal, and this is just going to put you on the spot because we're doing it live. I've got dates on the calendar in mid to late February, business owner trip. Rob's coming in. I got Angela and JC coming in. I think Jonathan Maynard's coming in. There's a few other folks coming in. Clay Davis and Derek Davis, who live up here, are going to like help me coordinate. I still got to get situated with them, but depending on how many people we got, we'll rent a fish house or two. I can only have so many people because my house is the intermediary. But if you're serious about it, you want to come try it, like it's on the schedule. We got dates. So now
I'm in.
Now it's official. All right, man. I will follow up specifically with you with some dates and some shit like that, so you can start thinking about it. But if you want to ice fish, we got ice fishing. Now I should also just lay it down that like it's not what you think. We sit in a insulated, heated camper on ice, drinking beer all day, eating like shit, watching movies. It's you're in pajamas and slippers until you're not, and then like you go outside to pee. That's about it.
That's perfect.
Every once in a while, you pull a fish through the floor, then you go to the bar and they fry it up for you. Hashtag ice fishing. That's what I'm talking about. You're not sitting on a bucket in 20 below 50 mile an hour winds. There's no grumpy old men going on. You can if you want. You just go sit outside. It's out there. It's out there if you want it. We're inside in the insulated fish house, hanging out in slippers and pajamas, drinking beer all day. Do a little bit of work. The hot spot works just fine. You get the laptop out there, you do a little bit of work, you get the movies going, there's TV, you got dish, you got whatever you want. So that's ice fishing. Just that's the Cliff Notes version of it. So you know what you'd be in for. You can bring your fancy ass bourbons with. So
yeah, I would too.
Perfect. So you just gotta be able to drink them all day. That's the hard part because you're like, man, it's 9 a.m. already.
Yeah.
Guess I'll put some of this in my coffee.
You said 9 a.m. already?
Yeah, because it's like 6, 7 a.m. and it's getting light out, and you're just sitting out there, and it's like, and then the rattle reels are going off because you got lines in overnight, and so like you go to bed at midnight, and then all night the lines are going off, and so by 6 or 7 a.m. you're like, God damn, I'm just up. I'll nap a little bit later, but now it's 8 or 9 a.m. The coffee's going. I feel like maybe a Bloody Mary or some whiskey in my coffee is probably the right thing. Maybe some Baileys, maybe some whiskey and some Baileys in the coffee. You got so many options. No shortage.
All right.
There, that's what you're in for.
I'll take it.
There, it's a trip. All right, Ben, thanks for tuning in. Home Service homies, thank you guys for checking it out. We'll see you guys next Wednesday back here on the Home Service Happy Hour channel. Be good. Go get them.